So you've gone out on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and purchased yourself a $200 set of wheels, but they're in far worse condition than you'd ever put on your beautiful project car. So how do you make them into the wheels you've always wanted? Well, it just so happens that I found myself in that exact situation. What many people doing their first paintwork don't realize is that prep work is what makes the final product. So this may be the most important step. I began by washing every wheel with a bottle of soapy water and a microfiber. Then I dried it with some lint-free shop towels. Next, I broke out the 80 grit sandpaper and began to wear down some of the chips and scratches in the paint. After that, I moved to 180 grit to blend the spot. Then a 600 grit to blend the imperfection into the nearby paint. And lastly, a 1500 to make sure that any sort of imperfection on the wheel was completely smooth. Keep in mind that anything that you can feel with your hands on the surface will show through in the final product, so make sure to properly sand down any spots until they're completely smooth to the touch. Now, my wheels had some pretty gnarly curb rash, so I thought I'd take a crack at smoothing that out as well. One problem with curb rash is that its location typically is on the edge of the wheel where the tire will later be stretched over. It is what keeps the seal for the tire flush, so you can't really sand down this area without risking ruining the wheel completely. I tried adding spot putty and sanding the area after it dried to smooth it out. It worked a little bit, but professional help is recommended if you need to properly repair curb rash. Next, I bought 2 cans of primer and got to work. When adding any sort of paint or primer, you should start with a very light first coat and slowly add heavier and heavier coats as you continue. I ended up with about 5 coats of primer on each wheel. After I had let the primer dry overnight, I gave each wheel a light sanding with 1500 grit one more time to make sure that the surface was as smooth as possible. Advanced Auto Parts had many color choices, but I decided on the gunmetal color with the wheel-specific paint. I recommend getting the wheel-specific paint as it will hold up longer to the elements. I started with an extremely light first coat and slowly went up from there. In between coats, I would place the can in a tub of warm water to keep the spray consistent. To make sure that the paint won't chip or flake easily, I added a heavy amount of coats. I believe the final coat count was somewhere around 6 or 7 coats on each wheel. I then let them sit overnight to dry. So I'm out here working on the wheels, right? And Dad, you want to explain to us what you're doing over here?
I'm making a little napalm. Took some gasoline and I fill in the styrofoam in there. And it'll turn into napalm, particularly a gooey substance that used to kill a lot of people in the 60s and 70s. We got a little problem with some hornets, and it just barbecue the crap out of us.
Lastly, I had some clear coat lying around already and wanted a bit more sheen on top of the already glossy paint, so I added 2 light coats of clear coat to each wheel. This will also help to protect the paint from dirt and scratches later on. And that's it. The wheels turned out great. Now all that's left is to wrap them in some high quality rubber and go get them mounted and balanced.